Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're doing our short Pilates class, so anything 20-25 minutes, but today we are going to be specifically looking at back pain. So these will be exercises suitable for those with what we call non-specific back pain. So if you just have general aches and pains in your back, maybe from sitting down a lot, maybe it's due to you, maybe you've got a job where you have to bend over a lot like a gardener, anything like that. So this is going to be something for you to try, just to ease a little bit of that tension in your back and your neck. Just because of the issue of back pain, if you do have anything like slip discs, or have actually been diagnosed with a condition for your back, please check with your medical provider first that this will be suitable for you. You can speak to your GP about it, and as long as they clear you as it being okay, then please feel free. So we're going to come to the back of our mat, our feet in our parallel position, the same width as our cheekbones. Okay, so we're just thinking about same width as the cheekbones, think bony parts of the hip, coming down the femur, coming down the shin, first and second toe. First thing I want you to look at is just taking the weight ever so slightly forward, so you're more centered on your foot. You're thinking weight first and second toe in that ball joint there. From here, we're just going to have a very slight tuck of the pelvis, so we haven't got the bottom sticking out behind. Make sure those tummy muscles are engaged. We're going to inhale, lift the arms up nice and high. Exhale, gently come down to one side and just start to circle that arm. And then circle the other way. Then inhale, exhale, up and over to the other side. And when I say come to the side, I don't mean necessarily come straight down to the side. It's ever so slightly forward. And that means we're stretching out the back and not taking the spine in a position that it's not comfortable with. Coming all the way back up, nice and tall. Then again, inhale, lift those arms up nice and high. Exhale, bring them down. And what I'd like to do, instead of a traditional roll down today, which can upset back problems, we're going to do a little bit of an altered one. I just want you to take your bottom back as if you're going to be sat on a chair. And then from here, just come over those thighs. And this is actually supporting your back. So maybe you can't come down that far and you've got to hold on to the legs, but by having the legs there to support the abdominals, we're not going to hurt that back. Just holding here for a second and then bend the knees a little bit further, walk the hands out and come onto your hands and knees. We've got hands under shoulders, knees under hips. From here we're going to take a gentle cat and cow. So we're going to exhale, turn the head under and the bottom, push the spine up to the ceiling. Open the shoulder blades and then inhale, belly down, head and bottom lift. And again, exhale, we round. Inhale, belly down, head and bottom lift. Now, if you find that the angry cat actually makes your back feel a little bit worse, what you can actually do is come into your cow position where you're just taking your bottom up slightly and then back to neutral. And you can just do the cow part of this exercise. Some physiotherapists give this. So it's whatever makes your back feel good. Last one here. Coming back onto the hands and knees, and we're going to do some of our bird dog. So you can choose just to do the arms, the legs, or both if you want to. But we're going to inhale, take right leg back, left arm forward. And inhale, lift it up. Exhale, lower, replace back in, and then do the other side. Inhale, we lift. Exhale, we lower. And as you're lifting, make sure you're pulling the bony part of your hip a little bit closer to the bottom rib, and that's going to stop you going into the lumbar spine, because usually what happens is people lengthen a little bit too much. They're up here and they feel it in the back, so just pull it in a little bit. Keep that going. Last one. And then just push into your rest position. Bottom comes back towards the heels. Lengthen the arms out. Taking some nice big deep breaths. And then just coming round onto your bottom for me, legs out in front. So I say this every time, and I'll continue to say it. If you are tight in the hamstrings, please don't try and have your legs straight, because then you're going to look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Please have a bend in the knee. And we want to think of our weight coming over the crease in our leggings here, or shorts. Okay, grab behind the legs just to begin. And we're just going to have a little bit of a look at our posture. So what I would like you to do is exhale round the spine. And then inhale, sit up nice and tall. Now if you can get your legs straight, you can still grab behind. Exhale, we just round slightly. Inhale, we come back up. And this just gives your body a little bit of feedback as to where straight is. A lot of people think straight's back here. Now, assuming everyone knows where the back of a bra is, if you were sat up against a wall, where that bra strap would be, once the back hits that bit on the wall, it's the chest that lifts to give that great posture. So when we do our spine stretch in a second, that's what you're going to think of. Keep that lovely straight back, tummy muscles engaged, arms in front, slight bend in the arm to protect the shoulder and the elbow. We're going to exhale, chin come down. Start to roll the spine forward, push the hands as if you're trying to touch the wall in front. From here, take a big breath in and exhale, slowly start to come back up that spine. Think of that bra strap, it hits the wall, the chest lifts. Inhale at the top, exhale, we push further down. Now don't worry how far down you can get. If you've got quite a big bend in your knees, no problem. Inhale, exhale. And again, inhale, exhale down. Inhale, exhale up. Holding there, just place the arms down. Keep your right hand on the floor. Take your left arm nice and high and just give a little bend to the side. Again, I'm aiming ever so slightly forward. You should see that my arm's not directly next to my ear. Up and over to the other side. And release, coming back down onto your back. We've made it onto the mat. Feet on the floor, knees bent. If you can, 1 to 2 fist distance between the knees and the ankles. And I really want you to think of the first and second toe pushing down into the mat, not just the heel. Open the collarbones nice and wide, and we're going to start with our pelvic tilt. So think of that tummy and that pelvis as a clock. 6 o'clock is your belly button, 12 o'clock is your groin. You're going to exhale, push the back down to 6. Inhale, tilt the opposite way to 12 to then make that big gap under the back. Exhale, we push down. Inhale, we tilt. Now really think about those feet. Don't just let them lie on the floor not doing anything. You need weight in those feet. You need to feel like the backs of your legs are engaged. And preferably what I don't want to see is people pushing down to 6 o'clock and then doing this big push up the mat. A little movement's fine, not too much. Come halfway between the two, and there should be a nice gap underneath that spine. Brilliant. Okay, so we're going to exhale, push the back down to 6 o'clock, lift the bottom, then the middle back, coming onto the upper back, and just hold here for a second. Really think of reaching those hip bones closer to the bottom rib, and that will mean that the rib cage isn't stuck up and out, it's in, and we're controlling using the abdominals. From here, big breath in, and then exhale, gently roll down that spine. Inhale to neutral. Exhale, push down to lift. Inhale at the top. And then exhale, gently roll down. One bone at a time. One more here, pushing down to lift all the way up. Inhale at the top. Exhale, we gently roll down. Come into neutral and just give those knees a little bit of a wiggle side to side. Perfect. We're going to do some bridges again, but slightly different. I don't actually want you to roll up and down your spine. There'll be people out there, it'll blow their minds if they've not done a different bridge for a while. For me, it's quite hard because I always want to roll through my spine. What I want you to do is keep this neutral, and we're going to hinge from the hips. So you're literally lifting straight up and then taking the bottom straight down. Engage the glutes, lift straight up and then back down. So for back pain, sometimes just doing the roll through the spine isn't enough. I find a lot of patients with back pain don't engage their glutes properly and they rely on the back too much. So by taking the roll out of the back for a second, we really are just relying on our lovely bottom muscles to lift and lower us up. Do one more for me. Holding at the bottom, rocking the knees side to side. Okie doke. We're going to look at increasing your intra-abdominal pressure. Okay, so the best way to describe it is if when you see a weightlifter, for instance, and they're lifting a nice big heavy weight up, they don't breathe, they go red in the face, okay, because they're increasing this pressure here. Another way of knowing if you're doing your intra-abdominal pressure right is, you know, when PTs or anything, and I say to people, when you do a crunch, you want to feel like your belly's pulling in, and like you're pulling the pelvic floor up, even though you technically can't move it itself. Some people will actually push the belly out and you get that dome effect, so like you're bearing down. So we're going to learn how to use the intra-abdominal pressure, increase it, and pull the abdominals in. A great one for back pain. So we're going to start easy, get increasingly harder. You're going to exhale, lift your left leg into tabletop, and then push your left hand on the leg. Pull the abdominals in. Have a hand there to make sure you're not pushing it out. Inhale, release. Other side. Inhale, release, and switch. So you should really be feeling your tummy muscles here. I am in neutral spine, neutral pelvis, meaning I've got that slight gap. Tailbone is on the floor. And you should be able to feel your tummy muscles here. Definitely I can feel them. If this is working for you, you can lift one leg and then the other into tabletop. Neutral pelvis still, so we've got that tailbone on the floor. And you can do it from here. If this is still working and you think, Chloe, I can do more, you're going to push your right hand into your right leg and extend your left. And then switch. The breathing will change slightly. This is like off our reformer series. So you exhale as the leg goes out because you're pulling this knee back. And return. And release. Just rock that back side to side. Brilliant. From here, tabletop one leg, tabletop the other, and hopefully here we have no back pain. So if you suffer with back pain, make sure there's no extra tension in the bottom of the back. And we're just going to do our toe taps. So we're going to try and keep the knee joint the same and then just try and tap the toe down, lift it back up. Inhale down, exhale up. Now maybe for you this is quite a small movement. That's fine. We'll just do a few more. And then release down. Just let the legs come out. Take the arms behind if you can. Give those abdominals a little bit of a stretch out. Perfect. Okie dokie. We're going to come on to our front and we're going to do some of our swan prep. This is actually really good for those people who have actually slipped discs, depending which way the disc is slipped, but a normal slip disc. We actually tell people to do extension work and not flexion. So this is usually perfect for anybody with back pain. So come onto your tummy and you're going to have your hands in line with your head but the width of your mat. Elbows are tucked in and I want you to pull back on those hands slightly so you can actually feel the backs of your arms, your triceps engage. Okay, so it's like I'm trying to pull myself forward on the mat. If you can have your forehead on the mat for me, I'll keep mine lifted just so you can hear me. I now want you to turn your tailbone under, like you're pushing your pubic bone into the mat. So if you watch me, as I exhale, I just tuck my bottom under slightly and all of a sudden I can feel my tummy muscles. It feels like they've lifted off the mat. You want to keep that there. From here, I'm going to inhale, pull back on my hands and then lift up onto my forearms. And then exhale, I'm still pulling on those arms as I return back down. Inhale, I lift. Now I haven't craned my neck up. My neck is still in neutral. My head has not changed position. If you want to, you can inhale, pull on those hands, lift onto the forearms and then push onto the hands. Still feel like you're dragging the hands back, engaging the arms. Exhale, we come down onto the forearms and then slowly come all the way back down. But don't worry about lifting up onto the hands if you haven't got the space, shoulder injuries, things like that. You can just come to forearms. We're going to do one more of these. And then come all the way down. Just push up and over into your rest position. And just extend those arms. We do like to flex the spine slightly. Now, like with any back pain, we like to support the back. And that's why in Pilates we say rest position is the knees in line with the hips. Yoga, they tend to have the knees out in child's pose, and though I don't mind that position, what tends to happen is you just let the abdominals sink in between the legs and there's nothing supporting the spine. So make sure those legs are in line if you can, and that just gives you that lovely support. Perfect. Going to sit on the mat, we're going to do a little bit of our mermaid. Now, this is very dependent on your back and your legs, what you can do. So beginner, what we're going to do is just take the legs, or not necessarily beginner, I know people that are teachers that can't do the full mermaid just because of how their hip structure is, but we call it a beginner position, beginner intermediate. The legs are cocked over to one side, you're just sitting on your right hip. That means the right hand is just gently on the floor, or the full hand is. Now if you can, make sure the hand is in your midline, it's not too far back, too far forward. Okay, and then from here you can do the arm movements. If you want the full mermaid, you can take your right leg and bring it parallel with the front of the mat, and then the left leg is behind and you're trying to sit your bottom down. And it's the same thing, except we'll have the arms lifted and then we'll come over. So choose your poison, whichever one you want to do. From here we're going to inhale, come over to the right, forearm down if you can, exhale, lean. Now again, notice how my hand is actually coming to the front of my mat. It isn't coming directly over to the side. I've rotated slightly. Inhale, lift the arm up. Back to centre. And again, over to that same side. Now option, if you're in this position with me, you can take the hand down on the left and come over to the left. If you've got the legs cocked over to the left, it's going to be a little bit difficult to do that, so just concentrate on the first bit of the movement. And then release. We're going to do the same on the other side. So maybe you've got the legs cocked over to the right. Maybe you're in full mermaid with me. That's totally up to you. And we're going to do the same thing. Inhale, exhale over. Inhale, exhale up. We'll do 2 like this. And then if you're like me in the full mermaid, you can always go over to the right as well. Perfect. And then just do 1 more for me. Brilliant. Bring your legs back round. We're coming to lie back on our back. We're just going to get a bit of some leg stretches in. I find a lot of people are quite tight in their bottom, in their hamstrings. So we're going to just do some static stretches today, because some of the dynamic stretches where we move, so one of them that I love to do is point down and flex up. Any back pain, things like that, a little bit too much. So we'll go for static today. So we've got feet on the floor, knees bent. All I want you to do is bend your left leg in and then lengthen it up to the ceiling, grabbing behind the thigh, trying to keep tailbone down if we can. If this isn't enough of a stretch for you, you could lengthen your right leg down onto the mat, flexing the left foot if you want to. If you've got the space in your hamstrings and your back, you could always grab the calf if you want to. And we're aiming to feel the stretch down the back of the thigh, and we're just going to hold here. Now, we're actually not stretching the muscle as such, we're not giving it length. If we did that, our legs would be hanging out of the hip sockets, etc. What we're doing is desensitising the muscle spindle, the little nerves in the muscle, and trying to get our brains and our nervous system to realise that this can actually be a nice, safe position. If you can, keep the right leg bent and then put the left ankle on top of the right thigh, opening it out to the side. Maybe you can feel a stretch in your left hip and bottom cheek in this position. If you want to, grab behind the right leg and lift it up into our figure 4. A lot of people in the UK and all over the world spend a lot of time behind a desk. So our legs are always in this kind of 90-degree angle position. So as soon as we tell our legs, oh, we want to stretch nice and straight, the brain thinks it's not a safe position, it's not something that, Joe Bloggs does every day. And that's why you get that called a stretch reflex. That's that pain where you kind of hit a wall and you feel like you can't stretch any further. That's your body stopping the muscle. It thinks it's not safe, so it's going to give you a little pain. Receptors go off to tell the brain, don't go any further. So this is why static stretching is good, but it doesn't actually technically help flexibility. Mobility helps flexibility. And release. We're going to go through the leg. Let's lift that right leg nice and high. Maybe you want to grab a little bit higher. Perfect. And then take, if you want to, that left leg nice and long, if you want to get a little bit extra stretch. And then when you're ready, bending the knee again and putting the right ankle on top of the left thigh, and then just hugging that leg in. Perfect. And release, feet on the floor. Lift both arms up to the ceiling. We're going to inhale, lift one arm up as high as we can. And then exhale, just drop the shoulder down. Same on the other side. Inhale, we lift. Exhale, we lower. Just do this a few more times. Just going through the shoulder girdle a little bit. Stretching out in between the shoulders. One more on each side. Releasing down. Come on to your hands and knees for me. We're just going to do a very quick cat and cow. So hands under shoulders, knees under hips. We're going to exhale round, pushing the shirt up to the ceiling. Inhale, belly down, head and bottom lifts up. And again, exhale, we round. Inhale, belly down, head and bottom lift. Coming into neutral, turn the toes underneath if you can. Start to walk your hands back and then just pivot over onto the ball of your foot. And then gently try and put the heel down and roll up through that spine. Perfect, we'll just do a little quick neck stretch and then we're done. So I'll face you for this. Feet in our parallel position. Push the right arm down for me. Left hand over to the right hand side of the head and just bring the ear down. Just creating some space. And then to the other side. Left arm down, right arm over. Releasing from there, and we're actually going to finish with a roll down. So obviously if you've got anything like slip discs, we wouldn't let you normally do this, so please don't if you have. But feet in our parallel position, same width as the cheekbones. I want you to imagine that there is a baby gate in front of you, or a big beach ball, I don't mind, whatever you think of. But what we're going to do is nod the chin down, make sure our weight's over the first and second toe, turn the pelvis under, and we're going over that gate, over that beach ball. We don't want the tummy muscles to touch it, so we're really giving them a good pull in and trying to come down as far as you can. Maybe you can get down to touch your toes, maybe you're only halfway. Really keep those abdominals engaged, because if we don't have them engaged, we're just hanging out in the hamstrings, and that really defeats the object of this stretch. Take a big breath in, and on your exhale, slowly start to roll back up. Use those abdominals. Last thing to come up should be the head and the shoulders. And then just give that head a little bit of a shake, yes and no. And then just roll the shoulders back into position. And you are done. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. If you would like any advice or any tips, then you know you can always message me either on social media, email, telephone. I hope some of these moves have helped you out and you're feeling a little bit looser and hopefully a little bit less stiff in your back. And I look forward to seeing you on my next video.